satellite pictures available commercially. I urge you to look at the satellite pictures of the sites which Pakistan says or claims to have attacked in India. Contrast it with the sites and places which we successfully targeted and destroyed. That will give you a clear answer. Claiming victory is an old habit. 1975 की बात यही थी, 71 की बात यही रही, 1999 करगिल वॉर में भी यही राग आलापा. तो पाकिस्तान का तो पुराना ये उनका ढोल बजाने का है, जो रवैया है, आलापने का रवैया है, ढोल बहुत पुराना है. परस्त हो जाओ लेकिन ढोल बजाओ. Rishabh, you also had a question regarding on that. I think there are 2-3 things there. There's talk of we saw some social media post about Egyptian, American aircraft, etc. But those questions are for them to answer, not for us. But on the nuclear, in the defense briefing, if you remember, our side made things very clear as to what was the target, etc. As far as your particular question, I think the Pak Foreign Minister also has made some comments on that. Manas. About nuclear issue that you pointed out. See, the military action from our side was entirely in the conventional domain. This was also made very clear in the defense briefing yesterday. There were some questions also which were asked. There were some reports, however, that Pakistan National Command Authority will meet on 10th May, which we saw, but this was later denied by them. Pakistan FM has himself denied the nuclear angle on record. So, Rishabh, that also answers your question. As you know, India has a firm stance that it will not give in to nuclear blackmail or allow cross-border terrorism to be conducted invoking it. In conversations with various countries, we have also cautioned that their subscribing to such scenarios could hurt them in their own region. Can we take more questions? Okay. There.
Good evening, sir. Here Maheshwari from Sputnik, sir. Just a clarification. Secretary Marco Rubio tweeted that India and Pakistan had agreed to ceasefire as well as start talks on a broad range of issues at a neutral site. So would it be possible to get a clarification on this if we agreed to that? And sir, the second question is about India-US trade talks. India has formally notified the WTO proposing retaliatory tariffs against select US imports over Washington's tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Would it be possible to get a clarification on this? And does it affect India's negotiating position vis-a-vis the bilateral trade agreement? Thank you.
Okay, Smita.
Smita Sharma here. I mean, the US State Department actually in the press statement of 10th May, it was in bold and headline that mentioned US brokered ceasefire between India and Pakistan. I'm just trying to understand if New Delhi actually rejected it outrightly, raised it with Washington DC then, that this framing was incorrect, or is it only now that India is making it clear that there was no US role in it? And just a quick question on whether there's any update on PK Sahu, the BSF constable, who has been in Pakistan captivity for more than 20 days now. Or he's been arrested there because he never crossed.
Suhasini.
Mr. Jaiswal, this is Suhasini Haider from The Hindu. In continuation to Smita's question about whether India has raised with the US these clearly what you are calling false statements made by US President Donald Trump, that India did not broker, the US did not broker a ceasefire, that trade was not discussed. These are all things that have been said now on the record in camera. So have you raised this at any level? And similarly, yesterday at the MOD briefing, We heard them speak about the Chinese hardware support to Pakistan. I wanted to ask if this is something that is going to be taken up with China in terms of India and China's own bilateral relationship. So both of them, are these two things going to have any impact on India's relations with either the US or China?
Neeraj.
सर नीरज हूँ न्यूज 18 सर नीरज हूँ न्यूज 18 इंडिया से। आपने कहा कि कई अमेरिकी नेताओं की बात मिलिट्री जो कार्रवाई चल रही थी भारत की उस दौरान बातचीत हुई। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से किस अमेरिकी नेता की बातचीत हुई? क्योंकि मीडिया रिपोर्ट में आया है कि अमेरिकी उपराष्ट्रपति जेडी वांस ने उनसे बातचीत भी किया और ये भी अनुरोध किया था कि वो अपनी मिलिट्री कार्रवाई को थोड़ा कम करें, डी एस्केलेट करें। और दूसरा सवाल यह है कि जब भारत ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में चल रहा था पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ, आतंकवाद के खिलाफ माफ कीजिएगा, तो बांग्लादेश में अवामी लीग पर बैन लगा दिया वहां की सरकार ने। भारत इसको कैसे देख रहा?
Okay, first regarding your question about Secretary Rubio's comments, on that I've already spoken. I've told you how the understanding between India and Pakistan was bilaterally reached and what was the conversation that we had with other countries. On trade matters, I do understand that there is a proposal which has been made in Geneva. It has been made very recently, so I don't have further details on that, but for sure we'll update you with the matter as we progress with those negotiations. Smita, again, I have already answered those questions of yours when I talked about, the question of ceasefire, as to who decided, what were the terms, when it happened, etc. So I would urge you to look at those comments of mine. I've told you that we have conveyed our position. I conveyed our position here on record, so I will request you to look at that. On the matter of PK Sahu, I don't have an update, so possibly we'll get you an update, but these are matters which pertain to the Ministry of Defense and they're looking into it. Again, Suhasini, on ceasefire, I've made India's position very clear, where we stand. So I would urge you to look at my comments. On the other question that you had, and possibly it had come up in the conversation of the press conference yesterday, there we have, I would say that we have obviously taken note of this. I direct your attention to the comments in the defense briefing about the extent of their effectiveness or otherwise. नीरज, आपके दो सवाल। प्रधानमंत्री की बात अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जेडी वांस से हुई थी।